Hello and welcome back to the quarterfinals. This is game number 3 between Garja and Challe. And let's take a quick look at these crates here. Here we see 2 wood crates and 3 food crates. And that's going to be the same for both civilizations today because we have a French mirror in the north of the map here. Garja in the color red, of course, playing as France. Both players will be since it is a mirror. And in the south of the map, we have Challe in the color orange. And now, crates, they're not as random as you might think that they are, because we start with a crate rotation for each civilization. Wow, I'm a poet and I just don't know it. But on top of that, you also get an extra 100 wood or an extra 100 coins sometimes. Sometimes you might not. And if, let's say you're starting with an extra 100 wood, that's great because, France usually put down an early market, be getting that hunting dogs upgrade here. And that's always nice. He's finding 90 wood, I believe, down here. So really wood not an issue at all. So he can easily get that hunting dogs upgrade without having to collect really any extra wood at all. We see a settler on wood there. Doesn't really need to be. 90 wood is more than sufficient. Switching back to food there as we speak. So all he needs to do is collect 50 coin there with these 2 settlers on the coin mine for that. And it's not really an issue. They're going to get hunting dogs. Nice, nice, nice. But if you're starting with an extra 100 wood, then you'll probably find that your opponent is in a similar circumstance and also starting with that same kind of extra resource. That's why in British versus France or British versus German or any other matchup, the crates are not quite as different as you might think that they are. Anyway, here we see Garja putting down a trading site. I find this unusual. It's not really a standard thing for France to do. We saw Challe putting down an early market. That's a lot more common to see French players doing that since the economy really helps you out early on, and it's a nice thing to do. So here, okay, fair enough. Maybe he wants the XP. Well, of course he does. That's why he's built it. Why does he want the XP? Well, France, they have a decent for fortress agenda. Semi-fast fortress is definitely on the cards for France. And that XP would certainly help him out with the shipments later on. So perhaps we're going to see a semi-fast fortress from him, and that is what he would like to do. France can naked fast fortress, i.e. get up to the colonial age, then 700 coin as their first shipment, and then, go for a straight up to the fortress age. But it's really not as strong as it is with other civilizations. If you take a look at the Ottoman, who get trading posts right off the bat with the extra XP, that's always nice. It's fairly strong for them. You take a look at Ottoman also get up very quickly. 7-minute FF. That's just crazy. They also, Spain, they're good at the fast fortress. They have a decent amount of XP due to their civilization. But I think France here, the strength is in their economy, and therefore a semi-FF allows you to get a nicer economy before going up to the fortress age, and therefore is gonna help you out a bit more. But anyway, this map here, we have, as we can see, Siberia. And it looks excellent today because I've turned my graphics settings on, but they can't stay on, and I'm sorry about that. I'm going to have to turn them off. But basically, I have these settings off because no matter how good your CPU is, no matter how good your computer is, a 20-minute recorded game turns into a 30-minute recording. And it is just not necessary. If perhaps, well, not quite though, it might not be quite 30 minutes, but it certainly is a lot longer, and there's just no need for it when you're making a video about Age of Empires 3, because it would just be longer than it really needs to be, and then I think in a way you're scaring people away from the video, and you're wasting people's time. So I never have my settings on, and believe me, it's nothing to do with your CPU, because I can run Age of Empires 3 in maximum graphics settings, and you'll have seen me do that in my gameplay videos where I play myself. There aren't many of those on this channel. There will be in the future, hopefully. But I have no problem when playing a live game. It's just a recorded game that seems to slow down. But anyway, what do we see here? Garja switching his settlers to wood here. Obviously getting placer mines. Going to collect enough wood, 125 wood, I would imagine, for the steel traps upgrade here. Of course, start with a trading post, so is going to put up this market in transition. Doesn't want to lose out on that. Getting hunting dogs now, and of course then can get steel traps, as I mentioned. Also going to get the greatcoats upgrade, I would imagine, because it's just so worth it all the time. 75 food for 35% villager HP. I imagine Challe will be doing something very similar at his market. Yes, we see placer mines, and the old greatcoat already has his 125 wood ready to get steel traps the moment he ages up, and then, that's 30%. Well, it's 20% to hunting, but on top of that 10% from hunting dogs, it's 30% overall, which is really nice. But what are we going to expect? We will definitely know by their first shipment, but let's take a look at Garja here. We see him collecting food and coin, so definitely on the cards is a very standard France build is, hit up with the 400 wood that you get, and then build a barracks and a stable, and then you can start to queue a musketeer and a cavalry unit from each building, and then you can ship 700 wood as your first home city shipment, throw down a bunch of houses. That wood can also help you get any market upgrades that you might not have get, such as steel traps, though really you should be getting that the moment you age up. But then, things like amalgamation, the 20% coin upgrade, or it can help you get another trading site, perhaps the upgrade if you already have one, that kind of thing. But then with those houses from the 700 wood, you can resume military production from both buildings. But here, not doing that. Not doing that at all. And I see 4 settlers on the way, followed by 700 coin. Just the one military building here, and this strongly indicates to me a semi-fast fortress, as I mentioned, this trading site earlier. Now, I want to take a quick look at Challe, and then I will explain the principles behind a semi-fast fortress, I suppose. I believe sent 4 settlers as his first home city. Doesn't quite have his next shipment since, of course, Garja does have an XP bonus on him due to that trading site. Here it is coming into play. But definitely still a very similar agenda. We see only the one military building, of course, going to train 5 hussars, almost pop there. Garja going to do the same thing, 4 hussars in queue, no doubt he'll get his 5th one, and then you can use those to do a little bit of raiding and perhaps secure an early advantage. But the point of a semi-fast fortress is, as I said, France, the strength does not lie in the fact that they go up to the fortress age super quickly and start spamming shipments at you. The strength is their economy. They send 4 settlers first, and that really does get the economy going. Then you send 700 coin, as you see here. Now that's the coin that he'll use to get up to the fortress age, and that's gonna get him there fairly quickly. Now, whilst you're in the colonial age, you have time to train some units because you're sending 4 hussars first, and then with those units, you might as well use them to raid here. You bring in 5 hussars in to try and kill a settler. Not actually killing the settler, but certainly causing some disruption, forcing them into the town centre, and making it a little bit unsafe to gather from these hunts far away. I believe Guy has done quite a nice job. You see this hunt over here that's been abandoned. Never leave a hunt just out in the open. Here we see a little bit of fighting. This hussar moving away from the fight. The, of course, orange hussars following it. It's nice to do that because then if the other hussars are following you, they're not going to be doing damage to you. Here we see orange moving his hussar away, that red one following, orange doing the same here. And if you can do that effectively and perhaps get 5 of your opponent's hussars to follow you for, perhaps a second or 2, then they're losing out on damage time, and you're just going to be doing very well, because in a hussar fight you want to be using all of your hussars to focus down one hussar very quickly, because the damage you're doing doesn't mean anything until the unit dies. So if you can kill one unit super quick rather than having your damage spread across all of the hussars, you're going to be doing better if you can kill that unit more quickly. But if they are focusing that unit, then that gives you the opportunity to run away. Here taking a crack shot at this 475 food treasure. Perhaps he's working on that. Every time the crack shot will recharge, perhaps he'll come back. But I believe Garja here winning that fight that we saw, and that is because he popped a few extra hussars. 700 wood now arriving from his home city. We'll switch over to Challe. Yeah, he has the age up in queue. About to hit Fortress Age already, of course, going through the Exiled Prince, who gets you there very quickly. And he only trained 5 hussars, therefore he's able to get there quickly. I believe Garja trained 5 plus a few more, and that's why I was able to win that fight, and I guess that was alright. Here, though, we see a little bit of conflict going on. Perhaps going to bring that hussar down there. That one hussar, of course, would be a good job to kill it. And then perhaps you'll use these hussars to do a little bit of damage to these settlers, cause a little bit of disruption, but really just getting them in the town centre and not being too much of an issue. Challe keeping his cool, only putting the settlers that are being damaged into the town centre since there's no need. And I really think Garja, you got to remember, these units, yes, they're causing disruption, but they cost 200 resources a pop, and this town centre is just popping shots off them. Also, that explorer was there as well, so it's questionable. Is it really cost effective or not? But here we see Challe already up to Fortress, and his first shipment, he's not even sent 700 wood for any houses and such, just, I believe, going to collect that wood for the houses, and his first shipment was 5 dragoons, training 5 dragoons, getting up very quickly, and perhaps not choosing to send 700 wood because he got there quickly and knows he can push his advantage, and that 700 wood, having not sent it, means he has that shipment to send something else. We'll switch over to Garja, though, and I prefer his build. He's going up a bit slower. Trained a few extra hussars, but won that fight, which wasn't too bad at all, and then used a few of the hussars to do some damage. But 700 wood being sent, and I like this. We see the 700 wood there. That is because he's able to pop up a bunch of houses. Now, this means he can collect nothing but food and coin, because he already has a decent amount of population. And then, wood is the slowest gathering resource, bear in mind. So if you're collecting food and coin, it's definitely a better idea. And also bear in mind, he's got the steel traps upgrade for food collection, and also place the mines for coin collection. He's upgraded those where he's not upgraded his wood collection. So shipping wood is definitely more cost effective here. Put up some houses and then collect the more cost effective resources to ship and train units, and have the population to support that. Here we see these dragoons coming around the back just to get some raiding, not being too successful here. A large dragoon mash from Challe, of course, hitting up a lot quicker and able to push his advantage. Even though skirmishers here do ×2 versus light cavalry, having that many dragoons is still, in my opinion, cost effective to focus down the skirmishers, because if you outmass someone, even if their units counter yours, you think about it, a pikeman counts as a cavalry unit, but if you have like 10 cavalry and they have 3 pikemen, then you're clearly in terms of cost efficiency going to be winning there. So whilst Garja has only just managed to hit up before he gets any significant amount of skirmishers out, perhaps able to do some damage. Now sending 8 skirmishers, 5 dragoons as his first shipment, followed up by 8 skirmishers, and as we can see, collecting resources to just train that. Has a fairly large amount of food, now switching a huge amount of settlers onto the coin mine, as you can see. Going to keep, I imagine once this food and coin pile gets fairly even, he'll switch them, since his units are actually fairly even with regards to the cost of food and coin. I mean, the skirmisher costs slightly more coin, but then you have to remember he's maintaining settler production as well. That costs a lot of food. Anyway, switching over to Challe. See what he's up to. Sent 5 dragoons and 1,000 coin. Okay, so not sending 8 skirmishers here. And still a very similar build, just without the 700 wood. So in effect, he's actually a shipment up, which is going to give him a short-term advantage, since, of course, that shipment he can use to be aggressive here. Using his crack shot on this 300 XP treasure. And here we see this 475 food as a few Guardians less, so taking crack shots on those can perhaps get them later on in the game. These high level players actually remembering to do stuff like that, but as I was saying, has a short-term advantage due to the extra shipment, but in a way, the sense that he didn't send 700 wood just means his economy is going to suffer, since he's going to have to collect that wood to build houses with. The coin, though, is fairly interesting, I think. I think what he's doing, we see a very large dragoon mass, going very, very dragoon heavy here, whereas we look at Garja's army, it's much more evenly balanced between the two. Actually appears to be more skirmishers there. Coming in to do a bit of raiding here, kill off a settler. But I think that coin, he can use that to kind of buy whatever he wants. Let's take a look at the 5 dragoon shipment. 5 dragoons here costs, well, obviously a dragoon costs 90 food, 90 coin, so in a way it's the equivalent of 900 resources, that shipment. 1,000 coin is clearly better. So if you're sending that, you can train whatever units you like, but then you have to bear in mind that when you ship units, you don't have to worry about training time and such like that. But then you don't get the XP upon creation. So I guess that's balanced either way. But the coin here means that I think he wants the coin, because then he can go for a very dragoon heavy mass. Why he's going dragoon heavy, I'm unsure at the moment. Sending 2 falconets, this could be it. Of course, falconet is very weak to melee cavalry due to the fact that they resist 75% of ranged damage, but do not resist any melee damage, therefore having a huge amount of dragoons, and as we know, dragoons are a ranged cavalry unit that counters cavalry. Very, very strong counter, very hard counter, and they can protect the falconets very well. Anyway, both players really not pushing, and I'll talk about why, I suppose. So I was thinking 7 skirmishers, perhaps that's what he's waiting for, but, both players in a mirror. Here we see taking another crack shot at that. A little bit of a skirmish going on here. Of course, I don't think he'll want to engage with those cannons. He'll just walk back to his base here. I don't think he knows the cannons exist just yet. But, yeah, just a bit of a skirmish. No one really wants to commit to this. I think Challe wants to get going now. He's got 2 cannons, and that's got siege potential. Also, cannons very strong against the skirmishers, and probably wanting to push that early advantage from not sending a shipment. But really, no player, it was a semi-fast fortress. We saw some raiding, but no one really secured an advantage. Let's say Garja managed to kill 4 settlers. That'd be crazy, yeah? 4 settler advantage with the semi-FF hussars. Here taking a few damage from the cannons there. But if he killed some settlers, then he would be in a very good position to sit back and let Challe come to him, because, he'd have the economic advantage, and it's always safer to fight in your own base. But no one secured that advantage, so really, no one's really sure what they need to do. Challe here coming in now with the 2 2 cannons, and this is where things are going to get interesting. Targeting down those settlers. Is it the right thing to do, though? Of course, they can be used on the buildings here. Now the skirmisher is in range, so the cannons will be fighting down the skirmishers, but Garja bringing in all of his dragoons to focus down these cannons, but is it worth it? The entire time he's been shooting those cannons down, he's been taking massive amounts of damage from all of the dragoons here and the skirmishers. Now his dragoon mass is very, very small relative to the other players, and it looks like that was totally worth it for Challe. You know, those cannons, yes, they've gone down, but he secured a military advantage since, of course, those dragoons had to, you know, red dragoons had to fight them off. And now I think Garja is going to struggle. Red is going to struggle. He's getting his settlers involved here just to fight this off. And Challe's thinking, no thank you, I don't want to fight you if you're using settlers. Since, of course, French settlers, they have been upgraded. They have 243 hit points. Compare that to a skirmisher, 144. These settlers are damage sponges. And really, they also have a decent ranged attack, actually. Especially if you upgrade it at the market, since they have an attack damage upgrade. But wow, that fight. Guy on 28 settlers, I think he lost a few. Challe on 32 settlers. Now he has a economic advantage with regards to settler counts. Hopefully he won't use any of these 3 settlers here. I'm kind of rooting for Challe this game, because Garja's on a 2-score lead. He's won 2 games. Challe's on 0. So, actually, by the way, if you don't like me ruining the results of other games, then I'm happy to not do that. I just kind of assume my viewers would have seen the previous games in the series before moving on to this one. But perhaps you're a casual viewer and you don't watch all of them. That's fine. I understand that. But if you would prefer me not to spoil the games, then go ahead, let me know. But here now, Challe in a position to do well with regards to score. Similar score. Similar amount of resources on the battlefield. But now Challe has a settler advantage. So all he needs to do is not lose many settlers of his own and defend well and not be ridiculous with his micro and lose lots of units here. But sending a lot of cuirassiers, trained a few there. I believe 3 just arrived from his home city, and cuirassiers are absolutely crazy against the skirmishers. Perhaps he knew that he'd focused down a lot of his opponent's dragoons. Therefore, he would now be in a position to send melee cavalry such as this. Cuirassiers do crazy damage versus skirmishers. They have 30 damage area 2, I believe. Yes. So perhaps the fact that he knows Red has less dragoons now since they died to the cannons. But then again, I don't know. I personally don't like cuirassiers when you know your opponent has a huge amount of dragoons, because dragoons are just such a strong counter. But here, losing so many of the dragoons, they've all gone down. No dragoons left. These 2 cavalry, yes, they're low HP, and they're just going to be able to wreak havoc because these skirmishers are going to have to focus them down. Cuirassiers have 500 HP, and I believe they resist range damage as well. And look at that, 159 score to Challe and 134 to Garja. Those cuirassiers were, really, they were the right choice. Definitely be able to do a lot of damage to those skirmishers. Now we see him sending cavalry combat, which will buff his cavalry even more. 15% extra attack and hit points to both dragoons and cuirassiers, an excellent card. Also now finishing the research for amalgamation. Perhaps he feels like he's in the position to get those upgrades now. Cavalry combat especially, since, of course, more of a long-term, late-game, more permanent upgrade. If you think about it, something like, well, he's run out of military unit shipments, but if he had sent another military unit shipment, then that's kind of like a one-time advantage with which you can push an aggression. But perhaps he feels he's in the position to kind of not send that. I mean, if Garja sent that, then, you know, perhaps he would be able to get ahead in terms of military. But since he was able to secure such an advantage in that fight, perhaps he feels safe enough to not be sending military now. We'll switch over to Garja. We see 2 cannons just arriving from the home city. Perhaps that's what he can make his comeback with, of course. Fairly large amount of skirmishes, but I don't know how effective cannons are going to be. Of course, there are a fair amount of dragoons on the field. Dragoons have a ×2 multiplier versus artillery, though range damage isn't particularly strong. But also, we know Challe is training melee cavalry, and those are good against cannons. Really going to bring them down quickly. Not that many dragoons here to protect the cannons with. And also here, losing this outpost. Trying to escape these settlers here, but not being successful, of course. Once the outpost is destroyed, the settlers will pop out, then he'd kill them, but trying to sneak them out before it went down. Losing 3 settlers here. Garja on 28 settlers, Challe on 37, just getting so far ahead here. Is Garja going to lose any more settlers? Another one down. Is he going to lose a second settler here? It's not too good. In terms of military, Challe is just so far ahead here. Those cannons setting up, but how effective is it going to be? If he can protect them like a beast, then maybe he can even this out. But really, he's going to have to focus down those cuirassiers right now with these dragoons. Use his skirmishes to focus down these, of course, dragoons. And then he can use his cannons. If he can get some godly shots off on those skirmishers, perhaps he can even it out, but it's not going to happen. The cannons have gone down, and that was how he was going to reclaim the game. But honestly, I don't think he had the means to protect the cannons. Not enough anti-cavalry or units just in general. They've gone down. Doesn't look pretty for him. And if we take a look at over here, we see that Garja's food and coin income is very undefended and out in the open near Challe's base. In fact, we turn Fog of War, and yes, he scouted it. Click on the animals here. We can see the food going down. Challe clearly knows he's collecting there, and is after this fight just going to go and kill his settlers here. Challe has the military lead, just going to bring his units up close and personal, force Garja back. Those skirmishers going to go down, of course, get the dragoons up close, and it's just not too good at all. Now sending economic theory, and he's calling GG. Okay, wow, okay, end of the game there. Thank you very much for watching. Challe bringing it back up. The score is now 2-1. Of course, Garja is on a 2-score lead. Perhaps you'll join me in the next game.